As we travel through life, we all experience moments that leave a lasting impression on our hearts and mind. For me, the event that I will never forget was when my wife was involved in a serious car accident. Those days were filled with fear, uncertainty, and an overwhelming sense of loss. However, amidst the chaos, I found solace and strength through my faith, provided me with hope and the courage to face each day. It was a time that deepened my understanding of life's fragility and the power of faith. It was the night of June 25, 2017. I was heading home after working late. It was almost midnight when I received a call from my sister-in-law, Hannah. Her voice was frantic as she told me that my wife, Claire, had been in a terrible accident and was in critical condition at the hospital. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Just a few hours earlier, Claire had called me to say goodnight and tell me she loved me. Now, I was being told that she might not survive the night. The drive to the hospital felt like an eternity. My mind raced with worry and fear, imagining the worst. When I finally arrived, I was met by Hannah and her husband Tom. They were both visibly shaken, and Hannah's eyes were red from crying. "Matt, the doctor said Claire's injuries are severe. They don't know if she'll make it." Hannah sobbed. Hearing those words, I felt like the ground had fallen out from under me. I was numb, unable to process the reality of the situation. As I sat in the waiting room, I felt utterly lost. Claire was my everything. We had been together for over a decade, and I couldn't imagine life without her. I didn't know what to do or where to turn. In my desperation, I began to pray. I asked God to give me strength and to watch over Claire. I remembered the story of Job from the Bible, who endured immense suffering but never lost his faith. Inspired by his unwavering trust in God, I decided to put my faith in God's hands, no matter the outcome. Hours passed, and finally, a doctor came to speak with me. "Your wife's condition is critical. She has multiple fractures, and her brain has suffered severe trauma. We've done everything we can, but the next 24 hours are crucial. You should prepare for the worst," he said gently. The words hit me like a sledgehammer. I felt tears streaming down my face as I struggled to breathe. The weight of the situation was crushing, and I felt completely helpless. But in that moment of despair, a calmness washed over me. I felt a sense of peace that I couldn't explain. I realized that Claire's fate was in God's hands, and all I could do was trust in His plan. I prayed for the strength to accept whatever was to come and to be there for Claire in any way I could. The next day was a blur of doctors, tests, and waiting. Every minute felt like an hour, and every hour felt like a day. I stayed by Claire's side, holding her hand and talking to her, hoping she could hear me. I told her how much I loved her and how much we all needed her to pull through. I prayed constantly, asking God for a miracle. On the third day, Claire's condition took a turn for the worse. Her breathing became shallow, and her heart rate dropped. The doctors rushed in, and I was pushed out of the room. As I stood in the hallway, I felt a wave of panic and fear wash over me. I sank to my knees and prayed harder than I ever had before. I begged God to spare Claire's life and to give us more time together. Miraculously, Claire stabilized later that day. The doctors were amazed and told me that she was a fighter. "We don't know how, but she's hanging on," one of them said. I felt a surge of hope and gratitude. I knew that Claire's recovery was not just due to the doctor's skills, but also because of the power of prayer and the grace of God. Over the next week, Claire slowly began to improve. She remained unconscious, but her vital signs were stable. The doctors were cautiously optimistic, but warned that she still had a long road to recovery. I continued to pray, thanking God for each small sign of progress and asking for continued strength for both Claire and myself. After 2 weeks, Claire finally opened her eyes. It was a moment I will never forget. I was sitting by her bed holding her hand when I felt her fingers move. I looked up and saw her eyes flutter open. Tears of joy filled my eyes as I leaned in close and whispered, "Claire, I'm here. I love you so much." She looked at me, confused at first, but then a faint smile appeared on her lips. It was the most beautiful sight I had ever seen. Claire's recovery was slow and challenging. She had to relearn how to walk and speak, and her memory was patchy. There were days when she would get frustrated and angry, and I felt helpless watching her struggle. But I never lost faith. I knew that God had brought her back to us for a reason, and I was determined to support her every step of the way. Throughout this journey, my faith grew stronger. I learned to trust in God's plan, even when things seemed impossible. I realized that life is fragile and that every day is a gift. Claire's accident taught me the importance of cherishing the people we love and never taking them for granted. Today, Claire is doing much better. She still has some challenges, but she is walking and talking again, and her memory is slowly returning. We are closer now than ever before, and our bond has deepened through this experience. We both believe that her recovery is a testament to the power of faith and the strength of the human spirit. Looking back, I am grateful for the lessons I learned during those dark days. I saw firsthand the power of prayer and the importance of relying on God when life feels overwhelming. I know that there will be more challenges ahead, but I am confident that with faith and perseverance, we can overcome anything. This experience has reminded me that life is a journey filled with unexpected twists and turns. We may not always understand why things happen, but I believe that there is a purpose behind every trial we face. Through faith, we can find strength, hope, and the courage to keep moving forward, no matter what life throws our way. Claire is doing remarkably well, all things considered. Here's an update on her life. Claire's recovery has been nothing short of miraculous. After the harrowing days at the hospital, her health improved steadily. Her physical injuries healed, and she regained her memory and cognitive functions quicker than the doctors had anticipated. Though the journey was long and challenging, her determination and faith played a crucial role in her recovery. In the months following her discharge, Claire's life started to return to a semblance of normalcy. Her husband, Michael, also made significant progress. He worked diligently in therapy and rehabilitation, and while he faced some lingering effects, he was able to walk with minimal assistance and engage in daily activities. The experience profoundly impacted Claire's outlook on life. She became more involved in her community, sharing her story with others to offer hope and encouragement. Her faith, which had been a cornerstone of her strength during the crisis, grew even stronger. Claire and Michael, through their trials, became a source of inspiration for those around them. The accident, while devastating, brought Claire and Michael closer together. Their bond was reinforced by the shared experience, and they continued to support each other through the ups and downs of recovery. Claire's story of resilience and faith spread to many, touching lives and demonstrating the power of hope and perseverance. Claire's gratitude for the support she received and her renewed appreciation for life became evident in her interactions with others. She often reflected on the ordeal as a profound lesson in faith, strength, and the extraordinary ways in which life can be transformed by the support of loved ones and the power of belief.